Hello and welcome to No Inches DIY. Another windy day in Gosnells. That's why I'm using the mic. Setting out for a new bed project. A new bed to replace a wooden bed that's a bit squeaky on the slippery floor. So I'm using 65 by 35 RHS, which is a really good size for the amateur welder to weld. You can put a lot of heat into it before you burn a hole in it. If you do burn a hole, you just jam a few welding rods in there and just weld over the top of it. Okay, so I need, for the sides of a double bed, 1870, right? It's going to be ripped down that way. So there's the flat that the timber bed slats are going to sit on and the side rails. Next is going to be measuring out for the ends of the bed. When you're marking out on a piece of this RHS, it's got these round corners, you can stuff up. So I just look down the line that you've drawn on the diagonal, get it lined up, and you should be right. You can see all of that line and no gap. You've got your set square in the right spot. And always, before you cut, make sure the angles face the same way. Rookie error. Always unplug when you do your thing. Doesn't take you much time, and if you did slip and touch a button, and you'd be in trouble. That's pretty much all the cutting done. There is the brackets that go inside and the end caps for those, but I'll do those later. What I do have to do is grind the paint off in here, because once you get it all welded together, you can't get into that corner to grind it properly. So I'll do that before I... Okay, so I've cut the 245s. The best way to check them is to just flip them over on themselves and just see how they line up. See if you've got any gaps. Put the set square on them. See how square you are. You can give them a bit of tune up if you're too fine. But the first one I did was nearly perfect, and the second one had a tolerable gap. Start packing it together. Alright, what I've done is cleaned up every face that's going to be welded at this stage, and part of the reason why I built this big bench is so I can clamp things to the edge and know they're completely square. Right, what I'll do now, so I'll just clean those welds up, and then I'll just clamp the other one straight to it and weld it up as well. Alright, so here I've got them matched up. I had to tune these angles up a bit. A little bit of a big gap here. Should be able to fill it though. So whilst the camera's been charging up, I managed to plug these ends up. I put 4 of the brackets on. This last one, I'm just using the magnetic clamp. I'll tack it not straight, I'll tack it at the front, get it lined up, take that out, and then I'll do all the welding from the back. If I weld along the front here, it's going to interfere with the bed rail that will slide over that. In the interest of full disclosure, I made a terrible mistake. I had them welded on like that, and if that was to be the case, the bolts would have to pull from the outside. I don't want that. I want the bolts to pull from the inside, so they actually have to go here on the opposite side. So I've just cut them off, and I'm going to re-weld them in the correct location. I'm just going to go through and just check how straight I am. Looks pretty good. They're so close to perfect that I'm going to just start drilling. But what I've got to do now is just drill some holes for these bolts. Get one close to the corner as I can. Right, when you do a custom fit like this, you can't mix it up. So I'll just mark it with a number. I've drilled out all these holes and I've welded some nuts to the back here. Now I've just made some studs, and those studs hopefully will go beautifully through that and into that. That's the plan. And I cut a little slot in these studs so I can hold them tight with a little screwdriver if they spin. So what I can do is I can hold the thread and then I can just nip them up tight if need be. But that fits perfect around that corner. No sharp edges there to catch the bed clothes in. Here we are at the bed frame project. I've flap discs all the corners and the feet, and then I can get around and flap disc the whole rest of the frame without touching it, hopefully, because one fingerprint on there under the clear paint, you'll get a rust or a fingerprint under the paint. So I've got this set up. I just hammered some stakes in. Hopefully it sits on there while I give it a good flap disc. Here's the old bed that was getting replaced. Now this bed is just a modular design made out of old pallets. I built this with my former students. Still got all their names written on it. This is just a bit creaky on a smooth floor. On a carpet floor it was fine. So here's the replacement bed, all finished. It's just loosely bolted, hence the gaps. But it's all finished, painted, and that's what it'll look like.